some words from Ed Gristar, starting a reading group. You want to jump right on in, Ed?
Okay, yeah, thank you. Thank you for giving me the, opportunity to kind of intervene in the regular business meeting. I'm dealing with, just so that you know, I'm dealing with some second COVID issues. My mom is 96 years old. She's in an assisted living facility in Butler and got COVID for the second time. And there's many issues related to her hospitalization and the Butler Hospital, taking her in and out, not giving her tests, interrelated with the staff. So I have to deal with a few things on that right now, but I'm here just to announce, maybe some of you haven't seen it, that we're going to have a study group on Marxism. Hopefully people will like it. It's just an introductory endeavor that we're going to do the Communist Manifesto. So for those of you who are interested, we encourage you to sign up. It's on the Facebook page, the Green Party Facebook page, and also I think I sent an email to some people who already had expressed interest. So feel free to circulate it. We'd just like to know how many. Greg Goddles, who's also a Green Party member, is also going to facilitate it. So we hope to have a good discussion and broaden our perspectives and give what I would consider to be a firmer foundation on the general principles of how we can move forward for democracy, real democracy, and a safe and sane environmental policy, because we're going to need it going forward. Obviously, regardless of how your politics are, the future in this next period is going to entail monumental struggles, and it's going to reveal many people's weaknesses, as I would say, on general principles, because they're certainly needed now. So hopefully sign up. And we'll have continued discussion. If we like it, we can broaden it and however you want. So I want to thank Jay.
What day and time for those of us?
That's going to be next Thursday at 7 p.m. It'll be on Zoom. And you can link on there. And it'll be 7 to 8:30. And we're going to
send out an email for those of us who aren't on Facebook.
Pardon me?
I'm not on Facebook. So if you can send out an email.
If you would give me your email or send it to Jay or.
Yeah, I can make this connection. If you're interested, post in the chat.
Yeah, then we'll just do that and send it to me. Then I'll send you the link. The first part will be the bourgeois and proletarians. Then we're going to move to the second and third parts of the manifesto. And it's only going to be 15, 20, 30 minutes of presentation, and then hopefully a rich discussion, which I think will benefit everyone. And so if there's any questions, if not, I'll see you all next week. And I want to thank everybody and greetings to all. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Cool.
Thank you. All right. See you. Bye.
Thank you, Ed. Yeah, we'll see you next week. And like Jay said, if you're interested, drop a note in the chat, and Jay will loop you all in. Cool. So I'll go ahead and
just ask me if you need help.
And we'll get.
Oh, what did I do?
I don't.
All right.
Wait, no, keep
okay.
presenting.
Oh, okay.
Welcome everybody to General Assembly. And so just some meeting etiquette first. If you're not silenced already as we're getting started, go ahead and do that. You're welcome to unmute yourself, as we open it up. If you have any questions, type them into the chat as we go along. Presenters will answer questions in the chat or after they're done talking. And if they're not able to stay for the open forum or Q&A, just contact them via the email address that they'll drop in the chat. So today's agenda, we'll start with general party updates. Jay or Garrett, do you want to start with those?
So I think this is just an overview, just kind of like, this is what we have coming up. So I think it goes into in the next slide.
Cool. One backwards. Oh, there it is, updates, okay. So if you don't already, add your Google Calendar or sync your Google Calendar at this link here. And there's also the calendar in the Slack If you're not on the calendar channel, you can jump on there or email Garrett at that email there, which actually I need to do myself. So I'm glad that I'm in charge of this tonight. So coming up, we have the Greener New Year talent show and social. And if you haven't gotten your talent scheduled, go ahead and do that. I think Billy is in charge of that, right? Well, if you're
Yeah, we've got a bunch of people already, so it's kind of closed to new performers. But yeah, I'll drop a link in the chat.
awesome, perfect. That'll be really exciting. I can't wait to see everybody's talents. That'll be real fun. The Marx Reading Group, starting with the Communist Manifesto, which Ed just talked about, coming up next Thursday. We have our final policy meeting for 2021 endorsement platform. I think we have that in the Slack, correct? That was shared to everybody with the link, I believe. So you can check the policy Slack if you want to check that out and make any suggestions there. And then on December 14th, we have the Green Left Reading Group, The Cooperative Commonwealth by Howie Hawkins. Sounds like a really interesting piece. I know I'll be participating in that. So if you are interested in that, also feel free to drop a note in the chat. And so we'll have a motion now for the next General Assembly for Tuesday, January 5th, 2021 at 6 p.m. Do we need to second that? Or does somebody need to second that?
I guess someone that's not the facilitator needs to motion it and second it. Garrett,
I'll second.
Garrett, was this supposed to be for all the entire schedule in 2020? Oh, okay. So we're doing it at the end? Okay, I think we're gonna do it later.
Okay, cool. So moving right along. So the various committees, if you're not plugged into these already, we have a vacancy on the media committee. Feel free to send an email to media@AlleghenyGreens.org if you're interested in helping out with the newsletter and blog. The outreach committee, feel free to shoot an email to Jay or shoot him a DM here now if you're interested in tabling a direct contact. The policy committee is looking for a replacement for Billy. You can send her an email there or drop her a DM in the chat. The Green Wave committee needs help with recruitment and training of candidates for office and volunteers for their campaigns. So if you have previous campaigning experience, shoot an email to Garrett at greenwave@AlleghenyGreens.org. And then the finance committee needs help running membership dues, fundraising, and budget. So if you're interested in those, feel free to reach out to Kelly at that email there. And I'll leave that up for a moment if anybody wants to copy anything down. I think all of these folks are here also. If it's not too much, feel free to shoot them a DM in the chat also. How am I doing, Jay? I don't need to slow down.
I think you're doing well. 6:13. Yeah, I think you're doing well.
Great. All right, cool. Just yeah, going on the fly here. So
do you have chat access?
I don't think I do actually.
Okay.
While I'm in share screen mode. Is this anybody adding me? Are you guys talking trash in the chat? Matt.
No. I'll watch the chat for you, Connor.
All right, thanks. I trust you, Jay, at least. Okay, so moving on. We have state committees as well. The Green Party of Pennsylvania is taking nominations for officers and team co-chairs until December 31st. If you're interested in that, talk to Garrett. Feel free to reach him in the chat since his email wasn't shared on this slide, or I can go back or just post it in the chat asking for his email. Current delegates for that position include Garrett, Kelly, Jay, Marcy, Beth, Claire, Jerry, Alex, Matt, Namath, Billy, Paul, Richard Weiss, and David. So plenty to choose from. And then with the national committees, the 2021 Green Party U.S. budget discussion and GPRI withdrew Arkansas and Georgia Progress. So Jay, Kelly, and Young Eco-Socialist Steering Committee needs help with social events nationally and in Pennsylvania, social media and communications building. If you're interested in those, drop something in the chat.
Yeah, Connor, could I say something quick?
Pop it in. Yep.
Yeah, back the other way. Yeah. Yeah, those bullet points there about the National Committee. Just really quick to say that the National Committee is looking at its budget for next year to try to figure out, how to better help state parties. So there's an ongoing nationwide discussion on what's the best way to help grow state parties. Is it giving more money for ballot access? Is it giving more money directly to campaigns? So if you have any thoughts on that, let one of your national delegates know, which is me and Jay and who else is it? A couple other people in Green Party, Pennsylvania. An interesting thing about the budget is that unfortunately the National Party has lost a few of its like monthly donors, but the interesting flip side to that is that the merch has gone up through the roof. People love buying merch. So, maybe because that's an easier commitment than monthly, right? So that's something that maybe we should even think about locally and statewide as ways to fund and raise for our campaigns and things like that. And the second point there is there were 3 state parties that were having some difficulty that we talked about in past times. And the steering committee for the Green Party of Rhode Island has basically said that it wants to withdraw from the National Party because of the stuff that was going on. they sent this email that was described as, "You can't fire me, I quit." So there's basically Green members there are working on electing a new steering committee and getting it affiliated with the National Party instead. Alaska and Georgia are also in progress for the issues that we talked about before. If anyone's interested in the details of that, we could talk about it later, but just kind of giving an update on those things. So thanks.
Cool. Thank you, Garrett. So we'll keep moving right along to officer announcements. Jay, is this you? Do you want me to run through this?
No, it's supposed to be me.
Get it?
Yeah, so right after Election Day, we participated in a bunch of events. There was the Socialist Alternative March the day afterwards. There was a PSL event on that Friday, and then there was the Alliance for Police Accountability March on Saturday. And then a bunch of us went to the Social Alternative Speak Out on Sunday. So that was kind of like a really busy time right after the election. And then we kind of had a quiet period. And then just recently, we had this event that we co-hosted with the Green Party of England and Wales, featuring Ed Gristar and Sean Domenico, who are 2 Greens that are active labor leaders. And that was a really cool event. It was like, it's cool to do an international Green Party event. Our party is a global party, and it's nice to be able to tap into that. And then we also, through our involvement with the Policing in Allegheny County Coalition, we did the kind of like action alert that many of you received about the County Civilian Police Review Board. So that happened in County Council, and that was sent to committee, and it's going to be voted on still. So that action alert is still it's still live. Like, it's not too late to contact your county council person about the County Civilian Police Review Board. And you can reach out to me about that, and I can tell you who your county council person is. And like, we are sending out messages that are like just a few sentences, like, "Hey, please vote for this." And then on top of that, the Allegheny County Jail, they implemented a new policy where they banned physical books in favor of their digital tablets. So we have been calling various people to try to get them to reverse that policy. And there's also an Allegheny County Jail Oversight Board meeting this Thursday that we're going to be trying to submit comments to. And that's going to be run out of we'll be talking about what we're doing in the Facebook group and also in the Slack page. So it's good we're talking about this stuff all the time on the Slack. So definitely loop in there if you want to be more in the loop. And then we post things on the Facebook group from time to time too. Yeah, and also I know Garrett and I think Connor even working on this too. This December newsletter is going out. So if you have any photos or stories or pieces of writing you want to add, reach out to newsletter@AlleghenyGreens.org. You can just contact Garrett directly. Okay, that's it.
Cool. Thank you, Jay. And now for treasurer's report. Just Kelly, right?
Is Kelly here? Yes. Looks like she's trying to talk, but she's muted.
Or very muffled?
I barely hear something, but just barely.
Maybe you could try calling in on the cell phone. We should come back to this.
Yeah, okay. Obligatory technical difficulties. So we'll jump for now. So on to committee and working group updates. Bylaws committee, Garrett.
You must have grabbed an older part of the presentation. I had put a link there.
It's the one that Jay sent me.
Yeah, I added it a little bit last minute. It's my fault. Anyway, if anyone's interested in bylaws, I have a Google Doc. I can post the link in chat. But there's a Google Doc for some proposed either bylaws changes or rules changes. Just some kind of like housekeeping measures, I think, to address a couple of issues that came up during the past year or two, including making an easier conflict resolution process. There was a question on whether or not abstentions fit with, or whether abstentions count toward quorum or not. And while it didn't matter for the particular question at hand, it seems like it makes sense for us to set a rule for that, you know, so that we know in the future. And some other things, including setting either membership dues or at least some sort of sustaining member program like the state party does. We have sort of an informal one for that at the local level right now, and you know we should try to formalize that so we can have a better sense of where our budget is and who our active members are and that sort of thing in future years. So if there's anyone that has any thoughts on rules or bylaws, I'll share the document with you. You can add some comments, or you can let me know if there's anything that should be added or changed. And the final draft document we'll send out in a couple of weeks so that everyone can look at it, and then we'll approve it in January. That's the plan. So over, thanks.
Cool. Thank you, Garrett. And now Greenwave, also Garrett.
Yeah, that too. Okay. So Greenwave is basically in the same position. Again, sorry that the link doesn't appear on the spreadsheet here, but I'll post it in the chat. There's also a separate Google Doc that is basically a list of our requirements for candidates to run for office. So the idea is set a nice baseline for our 2021 and 2022 campaign process on what we expect of candidates. In the past, we've had, again, a little bit more of a informal, maybe not too informal, but we didn't really ask a whole lot of candidates, right? It was just kind of like, well, you know, you're a Green Party member and you subscribe to the Green ideals and you know, that's good. What we would like is a little bit more of a stronger vetting process to make sure that the candidates represent the Green Party, and also to identify, you know, are they coming in with good support for like a strong campaign, like a campaign team, and if not, you know, what do we need to do to fill in the gaps to make sure they have a strong campaign team, so that they really get off the ground and that they don't get stuck, right? So we're trying to streamline that process basically and make sure that it's very easy for everyone to know what's required and what the next step is in the process of taking someone who has an interest in running for office, getting them through training that they need, and having them apply for endorsement and then receive the endorsement, and then of course run for office and win, right? We want to have a nice pipeline for each of those steps. So that's the goal. I'll share the Google Doc if there's anyone who has any comments on that or would like to contribute to that process. I think Billy and I have been primarily working on it. Connor helped, Matt helped. We've gotten some help from other people, so it's been going great. So if you're interested in that, let me know. I'll share the doc, and it's basically the same process that we'll share a finalized version of that plan in the next couple of weeks in our mailing list, and then in January we'll discuss it and kind of approve it as our formal process starting in January as we recruit candidates for elections next year. So thanks, over.
Cool. Thank you again, Garrett. And policy committee. Go ahead, Billy.
Okay. All right. So we have two things we're really currently working on, and that's the 2021 candidate endorsement list. And then, so basically a must-have list of policies for candidates to say, all right, I would vote, for anything that came across my desk that looks like this. And then also we're doing our 2021 platform, updating the old 2018 one. That's basically like the full list. And so we're pretty much done. Well, first I want to thank Matt, Connor, Garrett, and Jay for coming to the meetings and working on this stuff so far. And we're actually pretty much done with the candidate endorsement list. So this Friday, we are still going to have a meeting. We'll be adding to and organizing the 2021 platform, more so than the endorsement list, but feel free to come and we can talk a little bit about that. And then I'm going to post a new survey in the chat and on Facebook to get feedback for policies for the detailed platform that we're working on. Before I had posted one, and that was sort of like your must-haves. Now we want the nitty-gritty. And then we'll have our last policy meeting of the year will be on next Friday at 5, and that'll be sort of our final approval meeting for both the endorsement and the platform, just buttoning things up and approving it before it'll get voted on in January. So feel free to attend these meetings. The information will be in the Slack or on Facebook, and then please add your comments to the survey in the doc that I'm going to put in the chat by that last meeting so that we can get your input into the documents. All right. Oh yeah, and I'm looking for someone else to take over policy lead. I think he said this earlier, but just let me know if you're interested. All right, thanks.
Cool. Thank you, Billy. And finance and budget, Jay and Kelly. Do we want to go back to the treasurer's report before this, or?
Yeah. Hi. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, Kelly, do you want me to
Okay.
go way back to that slide?
Yes, please.
Yeah, okay. Give me 1 second. Oh, we're going forward. Hang on. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. My earbuds weren't working. Okay, cool. So, we netted about $119 in November. That was $145 in donations, $26 in spending. So we had about $1,700 at the beginning of November. We have 28 total dues payers. And every month we're gonna have a new member raffle. So anyone who joins between now and the end of the year, that's all of December, you get entered for a free t-shirt from a member. You can go to AlleghenyGreens.org/donate to sign up. And just click the little recurring button for monthly dues, which are $5.
Oh, did we just lose Kelly?
Hi, I'm back. Okay.
Oh.
Had internet issues. Anyway, I don't know what you heard, but everyone sign up to pay dues. That's pretty much it.
Yes, do it.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So
I heard a monthly option. I didn't hear a yearly option.
Oh yeah, there is a yearly option. There should be a button that says recurring annually. I'm not sure how many people actually want to do that, because how are you going to remember a year from now?
Yeah, a few of us have to, just because it's not feasible for me to get permission from work every month.
Right. Yeah, but normally I would think that people would want to do just a one-time donation of $60 to cover all 12 of the months, which is totally fine. And I'll just, remind them when their year has expired.
Works.
Is this is in addition to donations to Green Party nationally?
Yes. Yeah, this is separate. This goes to our bank account rather than the national budget, because the national budget, they do give out grants to state chapters and county chapters for certain things if you request it, but and like to candidates and stuff, but we don't get any money directly from them just for being a check. So we have to collect our own.
So yeah, if you could, yeah, give me a link where I can go to do that.
Okay, yeah, so it is AlleghenyGreens.org/donate. I'll put it in the chat.
Thank you.
Yep. So now back to the finance and budget slide. We're gonna
Question
have
about donations.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Maybe you said this, but if somebody wants to just make an annual 60 or whatever, could it be set up that automatically there'll be an email sent to them within a year to remind them?
Yes, so you can sign up for it to automatically withdraw every year. We don't have a setup right now that like automatically reminds, but that's something that we plan to have in the
Okay.
future. We're still working out the back end of all of our stuff,
Okay.
sending out emails and reminders and stuff,
Cool.
automating everything. All right, cool. So, yeah, our finance committee will be meeting on Tuesday, December 15th at 6 p.m. If you have any scheduling conflicts, but you really want to attend, go ahead to the Slack channel. It's the finance channel. And you can just post it there. You can send me a private message in Slack. If you don't know how to use Slack, you can send me an email. My email was on a previous slide. And we can talk about when the best time to meet is. That's just the default time. So next year's budget will include some startup funds for local candidate races, funds for printing needs and supplies, tech needs and subscriptions. That got cut off, sorry about that. And of course, swag. The swag will probably be mostly paid for by people paying for it, but we should still include a little bit of a buffer zone in our budget. That's all. Jay, do you have anything to say about our budget?
No, it's robust. We're healthy financially, which is awesome.
Yes. Oh, I was going to say one more thing. Oh, we really, really, really need people to learn how to be treasurers for campaigns. It's super duper easy. I did it all by myself for Jay's campaign in 2018. I've learned a lot along the way. There's a lot of ins and outs of campaign finance law, but I can help you with everything you need to know. You just need to be able to keep a spreadsheet, balance a checkbook, that kind of stuff, and fill out paperwork. So anyone who wants to learn to do that or would be willing to, please, please, please join the finance committee and we'll have some trainings on it. It'll be super great.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly and Jay. Good news there. So we're getting into deep dives and motions. So the APA ballot referendums, do we have kind of on?
Keena's here too. We're both here.
Cool.
Yeah, we're both here.
Cool. Welcome. So I can hand it over to the two of you if you're all ready. And Jay, right? This is the this is the time when I hand it over to everybody else. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so go ahead and take it away.
Raj, you want to start?
Sure, yeah. So first of all, thank you so much for inviting us into this space today, into this this great meeting. So thank you so much for even being willing to open your face up to us. I'm here to talk a little bit about today, just the two ballot referendums that we're doing in the spring. Another really cool project that's taking place, well, starting next week, but like is going throughout pretty much through mid-December. So I'll just give you the rundown because I'm not sure what everyone's knowledge level of these two projects is in the room, but we are doing two ballot initiatives. One is countywide, one is citywide. The countywide one, that is to end solitary confinement in Allegheny County Jail. The citywide one is to enact Breonna's Law, which is, of course, a ban of no-knock warrants in the city of Pittsburgh. That one's interesting because, if you ask certain people, at City Hall, wink, wink, Bill Peduto, They'll say like, oh, we already don't have no-knock warrants. Well, if that's the case, then why has there been lawsuit money paid out, as recently as this year for lawsuits related to that, so these are two really, really important things that we have going on. And it's going to be a lot of work, but I'm confident that we can, get this done even through COVID. So we have a goal of getting 27,000 signatures. That's what we need total for both of them. Like that is our win number. Of course, we want to get more than that, of course, because you always want to exceed the threshold. But we need organizations and people like everyone in this room to get involved and to commit to getting signatures and getting carriers, because obviously I think this is doable, but it's an ambitious project and we need all hands on deck to make this thing happen. So while we're here today, we are asking the Green Party of Allegheny County to be a co-sponsor of this. And what that means is that, we would expect from you all either, a monetary contribution or a certain number of either signatures or carriers, driven to the organization for this project. Additionally, you will be publicly acknowledged as being a co-sponsor of this project. In addition to that, you will also be involved in our meetings on this, the steering committee meetings, and you'll have a say in terms of what our next steps are for this ballot initiative. So Keena, I'm not sure if there's anything you want to add to that I missed.
Yeah, so I always like to tell people, this is not something that we're going into blindly at all. We have people that sit on the board for ACJ that are also involved in this, which, I'm not going to disclose as of right now, but you will know if you become a part of this. So we have a ton of organizations already involved. It's two very necessary and two very important things to do. Solitary confinement alone is a form of mental abuse, right? So it has nothing to do with the actual jail cells at ACJ. I get that question a lot. It is actually in the basement of the jail. They leave people down there. I've been to ACJ, I've witnessed it firsthand. So it's they leave you down there. Sometimes they don't feed you. Sometimes they don't let you eat. You don't have any sunlight. There's no rec time. You're in there 24/7 and they have to say so until when you're released. Nobody else. You don't get visitations. All you see is a CEO from time to time. ACJ also has the second highest suicide rate in the country when it comes to solitary confinement as well. We're also one of the very few places that practice the restraint chair, where it's a similar model to the electric chair, and they sit you in there, they tie you down, they put a hood over your head. So these are the types of things we're trying to get rid of, right? If you have an anger problem, there's things in place of that. It would be no different than putting you in your physical cell than it would be solitary confinement. People commit suicide. It's just a terrible thing to do to human beings. And they do it, they don't just do it to people who have anger problems or people who are violent. They also do it to people who have mental health issues, people who, are going through withdrawal. Instead of putting them and giving these people the proper care, getting them therapists, getting them the proper treatments that they need to overcome drug abuse. A lot of the people that go into solitary confinement are more prone to going right back in the jail because it's such a psychological detriment to your mind, right? And as far as Breonna Taylor's law, Allegheny County is the only one in Pennsylvania that hasn't passed it. Because of the soft touch that, like Ross said, Peduto's we don't even do that, which is BS because a very close friend of mine who is also a fellow activist just got her door kicked off her hinges last week for no reason. no warrant, then took her to jail in front of her children, never told her why. She has all these added charges now. It's just a mess, you know, like, and if you've ever been in a situation where you're just in your home and things get tossed upside down and you have no reason, no knowledge of why it's happening. Not saying that's always the case, but I'm saying it does happen. It's not a pleasant feeling. So we would like to like hold these people accountable, like, you know, like, and as far as like the City Police Review Board, that's what passing that referendum was. It was a very small step on behalf of APA, but you know, it's a step in the right direction. And unfortunately, to see the world that we all crave and desire, we have to go through all of these loopholes to get there. So, you know, we're pretty much just asking that you join the team and come aboard. You know, I'm also like, I'm the coalition builder. Sorry, I should have said that from the beginning. I was just following up with Ross. I'm the coalition builder and organizer for the Alliance for Police Accountability. And I'm currently building a coalition table, which will, it's absolutely handpicked because we need organizations, which is how we're treating these ballot initiatives as well. We're not just going to everybody and anybody. We're carefully picking people who we think can help us get this done, who we think is going to take it as serious as we do. And it's the coalition table is the same thing. We have a ton of projects we're working on. And yeah, so Jay, I will probably be sending you that letter in a week or two. And Ross, if you want to talk about the campaign training.
For sure. Yeah. No. So yeah, thanks again for having us here. And I want to say like super quick, like Green Party has been the OGs in Pittsburgh in terms of like grassroots organizing and you know, like leftist causes for a while now. So I want to say that like this stuff doesn't happen without you guys, and I truly appreciate that. But yeah, first of all, actually, like before I dive into the training, are there any questions about the ballot initiative? Are there any like things that we need to clear up with that?
My question is, who else is part of the coalition?
Keenan.
Okay, so currently we have Socialist Alternative, Catapult for Greater Pittsburgh, which is Halima Thompson, Casa San Jose, Black Lives Matter, and SWPA, that's Tanisha Long, Pittsburgh, I Can't Breathe with Deja and Lexi, Trans Uniting, Dina Stanley. I'm going off the top of my head right now. We just got Pittsburghers for Public Transit involved. The other day we had a meeting with them as well. They said yes, so they're now involved. Sorry, I'm really like, don't have the list directly in front of me right this second. But yeah, there's quite a few groups involved, all with the same ideologies, pretty much. Well, I'm not gonna say same ideologies because none of us are a monolith. Oh, so I actually have a meeting. You talk about labor unions. I actually have a meeting with the U.S. Steelworkers tomorrow. I've already talked to Brittany Murray. She's given me her okay, but like, you know, it's kind of the same situations with you guys. I've talked to Jay previously. We had to bring it here, so I'll be talking to them tomorrow. And I have very close contacts with SEIU as well that I will be talking to in the next upcoming week as well. So yeah, we're trying to involve everybody that we've already worked with. So, you know, like a lot of, if any of you were at the action a few weeks back on that Saturday, where they announced Biden as the president, you'll probably see a lot of those same groups working with us as well. I also have a meeting with LACLA coming up. So, you know, we're just in the process of getting all the yeses confirmed, you know, getting all the answers from everybody. I've talked to all the presidents. It's just attending board meetings and getting everybody on board in unison.
Any other questions before I start my monologue? All right.
I have a brief question.
Yeah.
I don't know if you mentioned this already, but what does the time frame look like for this ballot initiative?
Yes. Thank you for asking that question. I completely missed that. So we can start collecting signatures on December 29th. The last day, like our signatures have to be turned in by February 16th, something like that. You know, but it's a very short window. Obviously, like 2 months to get 27,000 is short. But like I said, you know, I firmly believe, and I'm going to talk more about this in a second, like with the rest of the momentum that I believe is going to be, you know, present in 2021, like I think this is a very doable thing, and it's something that we have to shoot for, you know. Regardless of who wins mayor next year, we have a work cut out for us, and I think this is a huge step in the right direction. So, but yeah, in particular, actually, like our kickoff event is going to be on the 29th, but like we're currently discussing like what that's even going to look like with COVID and all that. So like more details will come through that. And I will say, like, if anyone's just interested in signing the petition and they haven't already, I'll drop the link at the end of the of our presentation as well. But yeah, cool. So
can you tell us what county council people you have on board already?
Yeah, I mean, so I can say that we have Bethany Hallam, just because she's like publicly like been in like one of our meetings before. I'm not sure my authorization to talk about other people, but yeah.
Hasn't Liv Bennett endorsed by now? Olivia Bennett?
Olivia Bennett has not yet.
Oh.
So Liv Bennett has been working on a legislation of her own, which she plans on passing in the next upcoming weeks, that she's been working on with Fawn Walker Montgomery. Fawn's also Take Action Mon Valley is also another organization that is involved with this head on, full speed ahead. You know, like Bethany, to me, Bethany Hallam and Liv Bennett kind of come hand in hand when it comes to these kind of things. I won't speak for Liv Bennett because she hasn't said anything yet, but yeah, we absolutely plan on talking to her. She just pretty much has her hands kind of full at the moment.
And usually Anita Prizio as well, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, usually she's on the right side of things. Yeah.
What about DeWitt Walton? Does anybody talk to him?
I got to interrupt. This is getting into like strategy stuff. We'll be part of the coalition, and then I'll tell you everything I know, and you guys can tell me what you want me to bring to the coalition.
Yeah.
If we vote to join this.
What I can say is that I don't expect DeWitt, who is my county council person, actually to, you know, be on the right side of this, but we will see. Stranger things have happened. So.
Right. Yeah, so we're not like really allowed to disclose all the information. The only reason why we disclose Bethany Hallam is because she was publicly on our meeting that was open to the public, and she made it known that she was a part of this. So you know, that's what the meetings are for, though, like the private meetings. So like everybody knows exactly who's on board. I only disclose the organizations who have no problem with it being disclosed, you know, unless you know, so there's that. There's a ton more that, like, you know, would like to remain private as far as like, you know, this goes. Obviously everybody will come to the forefront eventually with their names being, with their organizations being on everything, but then that just gives away the point of like having the private meetings to begin with, because when you do everything publicly, everybody knows everything. People try to ransack what you're trying to do, and we don't want people to try to derail what we're trying to do, you know?
Yeah. All right.
Ross, you want to talk about the campaign training?
I absolutely would. Okay, so I know everyone is probably like beat down from 2020 election stuff and having like the cycle literally like shoved down our throat at every waking moment. So I'll be brief in this, but next year in Allegheny County in particular, and like I know like y'all were talking about like local politics, you know, earlier, and that's super important. I mean, next year alone, there's 20 magistrate seats up, there's 6 common police seats up. Of course, you have a ton of, you know, like local municipal council seats up and a few county council seats up as well. So simply put, oh, and also mayor, right? Like I cannot disclose yet like who is running, but like there will be a race. So we're gonna have our hands full. What we're trying to do here at APA is train people up, make sure that they have all the resources that they need to organize their community politically and take power next year, because we're not going to have a chance to do this in one fell swoop again. It's critical that we take advantage of this, because there's literally like a historic number of seats up. So what we're doing, we're putting on a training, and it's going to start this Saturday, December 5th, called Take Power 2021. And if you are an organizer, if you want to be an organizer, even just like if you volunteer with a campaign before, you want to volunteer with a campaign, or you may have like other ambitions, for local elected office, like this training is for you. So you'll get all the basics of field organizing, what a good ground game looks like. And also we have some advanced topics on like, micro targeting and win numbers and that sort of thing. But this will, after going through this training, you will be equipped to run a powerful, local grassroots campaign. And that's super important, not even just for next year, but for the years to come too. And especially with an organization like the Green Party, right? I see a ton of opportunity there. So if there's any questions about that, I can answer those as well. But I'll drop information about that in the chat too. So are there any questions, any like burning interested people who are, jumping at the bit for this? Cool. So yeah, there's a total of 8 sessions that you can choose from. I recommend going to at least 2 to get the most out of this. So the first weekend of this is this weekend, so the 5th and 6th. On Saturday, it is from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. On Sunday, it's from 2 to 5. The same with the following weekend from now. And then on Monday of this coming week and Wednesday this coming week, there'll be 2 more sessions that correlate roughly with Saturday and Sunday. And then the following Monday and Wednesday as well, will be 2 sessions. So I will drop all that information in the chat, but no, I truly appreciate you inviting us into this space. I truly appreciate your attention, and let's kick ass in 2021.
Yes, thank you everybody for your time. Like it truly means a lot, because like we're not just out here yelling at people on megaphones. It's not like protesting is very important, but what we do after protesting is extremely important as well. And like we can only currently beat the law by changing the law, right? So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to put the right people in these seats. Put the right people, good people in these positions of power. So we look forward to hearing what your answer is, and thank you for having us.
And super quick before I leave, so I just dropped the campaign training link in the chat. Zoom is stupid, like incredibly stupid. So like you won't actually be able to like seamlessly click on that link like any other platform. You have to copy and paste it, which again is so stupid. And I don't know how Zoom has so much stock soaring right now, but they do. I'm also dropping the link for Thursday's meeting, which is literally for anyone who wants to sign the petition. I know it sounds stupid that like you should like have to go to a meeting to like, sign this, but like, please, like it is critical that you attend this, because it's kind of complicated. And like with Corona, like it's looking like we're going to have to do like a like mail-in based, campaign. So like, it's super important that you come to this meeting. If not, we have one again next Thursday, but yeah. If you don't already, please follow APA on Facebook, on Instagram. Our Twitter is in limbo, but those 2 things are our bread and butter. So yeah. All right.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Keena, and thank you, Ross, both for taking the time with us and all the amazing work that you do. I said it in the chat, and I got to say it again. I'm really excited for that training in particular. It'll be a great resource, and if we can get as many people as possible to sign up, I think it's just going to be an awesome experience.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and motion and vote on those APA referendums. If a member will make a motion to endorse the APA actions.
Move to endorse.
We have a motion to endorse. Will another member second that motion?
Second.
We got a second. Any blocking concern?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, so we will go ahead and move to a vote. Think, Jay, do you have that that function?
So we do it by consensus unless there's a blocking concern.
Okay, great.
So yeah, you just say it's approved by consensus.
It's approved by consensus. There you go.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you all so
Yes, thank you so much. We truly appreciate it. Like, you have no idea, like, how super important this is, like, you know. And of course, anything that you guys are working on that we can help with, please feel free. I dropped my email in the chat. I can drop it again one more time. Anybody who needs to reach out, please do. I'm pretty good about answering. If I'm not answering, it's because I'm literally asleep. Like, I don't care what I'm doing, I'll answer my phone, I promise.
Before I leave, I gotta say what's up to Beth Strongar, who was like volunteer number 1 with Summer Lee. I gotta say what's up before I leave.
Hello.
Hey Beth, how's it going?
Really good.
That's good.
Looking forward to it.
What'd you say?
Looking forward to doing the petitioning.
Yeah, looking forward to having you.
All right, well, we will see you guys on Thursday at the meeting on Thursday. I will be attending the campaign training as well, because the more you know, right? So,
you know.
But thank you guys so much. We truly appreciate y'all. And like I said, anything that APA can help out with, just let us know. And we'll be more than happy to help.
Awesome. Well, thank you both again. The feeling's mutual, and we'll see you both soon.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
All right. So the next up is DSA action targeting Connor Lamb. Do we have someone presenting on this, Jay?
Yeah, it's Prem.
Oh, Prem.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Awesome.
I can hear you. Yep.
So, this slide basically outlines the kind of demands we have, but the general gist is DSAs has a national coordinated day of action on the 12th. So chapters across the country are doing actions in conjunction with local orgs that align kind of with DSA. So those are the 5 demands that we have, and we're targeting Connor Lamb. So our plan is to basically hold a small rally nearby Connor Lamb's office, then walk over on the sidewalk to his office and to drop off our demands. So the whole action, it will start at noon and should only be like an hour and a half. It shouldn't be too long. And as of now, Sunrise and Socialist Alternative have agreed to co-host, but we were wondering if Greens wanted to co-host as well. And happy to answer any questions about the action or just in general. Thank you.
Cool. Does anybody have any questions before we move forward?
I have a question. Can you just talk about like COVID and how that's not like the demands, but in terms of like as an action and rising cases, whatnot? Like, what's that conversation look like?
I mean, I think there's some concern, but definitely, I mean, things are definitely looking worse right now, and it's something that's being discussed, but the whole thing would be outside, everyone would be masked, would be social distancing, and we're not going to take the streets, we're just going to go down the sidewalk. So I think it should be a relatively low risk action in terms of COVID problems, but totally understand that turnout probably won't be the same as it would have been if we lived in a non-COVID world.
I'm curious, Prem, why Connor Lamb is the specific target?
So this actually was advised to us by National DSA, and it kind of made sense with the messaging of this whole National Day of Action. It's very much a day of action to kind of shame neoliberal centrist Dems. So Connor Lamb fits that picture pretty well. And it is a little bit, I will say, like, Mount Lebanon, where this office is a little bit not the most accessible. I mean, there's like a T station, I believe, which is where we're gonna hold the little rally nearby. But we also thought it would be kind of cool to maybe engage some folks who haven't been able to make it out to some of the other actions that are usually downtown, especially the South Hills folks and whatnot.
Yeah, that should be. I was just gonna say the one march that they had in Mount Lebanon was pretty solid turnout and very different vibe, but definitely fertile ground, I think. Sorry, I cut somebody off.
Yeah, I just had one question about this. If you could give me a really condensed version of what exactly is the PRO Act?
So it's the Protect the Right to Organize Act. It's basically helps unions and union organization and helps stop union busting, at least to my knowledge.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. You said so DSA is hosting this and Sunrise is involved too. Do you have like a number of people who've already committed so far?
Do not as of now, but we have I should have mentioned this also, we have a planning call tomorrow at 5:30 where we're gonna really try and iron out some more of the more specifics and try and see how many folks can commit from each org. Also, Socialist Alternative agreed to co-host, so.
Okay.
But yeah. And I saw in the chat, what time is the action on 12/12? It's at noon. And yeah, the planning call's at 5:30.
Jay, did that get your point about who's going to be on the planning call? Do you mean from us?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, who is going to be the Green Party point person on this action before we, sign on to it? I don't think I can do it myself, and like it would normally default to me, and I can't do it. So that's the concern that I have.
When is the call? Did you say, Prem?
5:30 tomorrow.
I'm sorry. What time?
5:30 p.m.
5:30. Okay.
5:30 tomorrow.
I can go to that.
All right. Are you bottom lining? Is that bottom line for Green Party?
I have a question. Can I ask a question too? If the Green Party decides to endorse this and has a speaker, would the DSA be upset if the Green Party also slammed the Democratic Party as well, not just Connor Lamb?
I mean, I wouldn't personally be upset. There's a lot of Dems who deserve shaming. I don't think that we really are trying to police what you want to say. So whatever they'd want to say is fine with me, I think.
I'll say our DSA now is pretty comfortable with slamming Democrats, much more so than in previous years.
How about Sunrise?
Yes, them too.
Sunrise is down as well with Dems.
So is this just, so are we just talking about the optics of slamming Connor Lamb, or there's actually a effort to try and push him left?
I think
not that he's pushable, but
yeah, I think it's more of a slamming Connor Lamb and shaming them and kind of forcing their hand almost, rather than realistically getting any of these demands, at least in my opinion. But I think they're all pretty solid demands that if you're opposed to, you better be able to say why, and you probably have a shit reason.
I think they're solid demands. I was just wondering where the focus was at.
Gotcha.
Cool. Any other questions before we move on?
Yeah, is it all right if I go to that meeting too? Like, I want to it's part of the Pittsburgh Unity Front project. I would like to just be there to help form more connections between DSA and the Green Party on that matter.
Comment? Hello?
David, did you have a question?
I just had a quick comment. Prem just said, I think is very important. And I think it should be upfront about this action or similar kinds of action. People shouldn't be naive to think that they're going to go to Conor Lamb with these demands and he's going to like seriously consider them. He's just not there in any way, shape, or form, philosophically, ideologically, politically, whatever. So if you're going there, like Prem said, just basically to use them, draw attention to these demands, and hopefully you can get some coverage of that. That's perfect, I think. And I think people should be pretty much aware of that up front.
Cool. All right. So if nobody else has any comments or questions, we can have a motion and vote. Will someone make a motion to endorse this DSA action?
I motion we endorse.
Motion, can we get a second?
I'll second it.
We got a second. Any blocking concerns?
Do we have enough people who will show up for it to be meaningful?
I'll show up. I'll commit to it.
Yeah,
Why don't we
this is
go-
my backyard, so you know, I'm happy to commit to it and show up tomorrow as well. Prem, Matt, and Riley.
I think that's 2 is fine. Why don't folks just raise their hand if they think they might be available? What happened to gallery? I have no idea.
Yeah, we got some hands there as far as I could see.
I suspect the action is not going to be really big, so I think that's okay.
Yeah, that's a good.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure there were some.
December 12th, right?
Is that correct, Prem?
Yes, December 12th. Sorry, I was nodding my head, but I guess not everybody can see the picture.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I have mostly PowerPoint screen anyway. Cool. Yeah, so December 12th. Cool. Any other blocking concerns? Sounds like not.
I don't have a concern. I just need to know who motioned and who seconded because I missed that. I didn't.
I think David was the motion and Matt was the second.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you.
I have a question for Prem. Will you send out like a link or something? How do we get to the meeting tomorrow for those interested?
Yeah, I'll drop it in the green Slack if that works.
Yeah, that works. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Prem. So that passes. We'll support that. And thanks, Prem, for taking the time, talking to us, and yeah, excited to support this. Every time I walk or run past Conor Lamb's office, I want to shout at it anyway. So this gives me an outlet. All right. So moving on, we have the WILF event on nuclear weapons. And who do we have presenting here?
I should speak to this. So yeah, it's just online watching this documentary. So the important day, you see this commemorate International Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. I think like the 50th country sign on to this kind of like UN, I guess it's like a law, a resolution of some sort. And January 21st is when it goes into effect. So that's kind of like an international national day of action of like anti-war day of action and like kind of like against nuclear weapons. And January 22nd is like the day after that. So this is just kind of like they're asking us to co-sponsor this documentary screening, which would be online.
Do it.
All right, so we'll have a motion and vote. There's some enthusiasm. So anybody want to make a motion to endorse? Does that count, Mel? All right, so Mel motions. Anybody want to second that motion?
I'll second it.
Second from Catherine. Any blocking concerns?
I don't have a blocking concern, but I have a question. If whoever knows more about this movie, can you just like briefly summarize what this movie is, like what it's about and everything?
David, you know? I know nothing.
Honestly, no. I don't-
I'm just going off that Wilp, we've co-sponsored an event with Wilp before. They're part of Stop Banging the Mom. They're friends. So I hope they didn't pick like some sort of problematic movie, which I guess is not impossible.
I'll trust them. I was just curious.
All right, yeah, seems a little bit shady whenever Jay puts it like that, but that'll pass without any blocking concerns. It passes. What more can you want? Okay, so moving on to support Planned Parenthood PA advocates. Jay, I think you shared this in the Slack. Is this you as well?
Yeah, is there someone better? No, okay, I'll speak to this. So Planned Parenthood Pennsylvania staff, I guess they're kind of, I don't know the exact breakdown of the organization, but their staff have this, it's a petition to have the CEO of like the Pennsylvania group step down for a lot of different reasons. The full thing is posted, is linked in the Slack. There's kind of like a short link of saveppa.wordpress.com. And they're taking organizational co-sponsors for this. They said that 1,000 people have signed their petition, and that every single person below the level of executive director has co-signed this petition. So it seems like pretty serious. And then they've also been posting the response from the executive director. And the person who I found that about it from is someone who's really active in DSA, is a leader in the Socialist Feminist Caucus, someone that I trust. And I signed on to it personally. But yeah, just seeing maybe this is something that we can sign on to as well as an organization.
I just think we shouldn't decide without.
Cool. Yeah, if anybody didn't catch that in Slack, this whole letter I thought was pretty shocking for what it's worth. Oh, and there's the full letter in here as well. So we'll have a motion and vote. If everybody's ready, will anybody make a motion to sign on to this letter?
I will motion.
Jay motions. How about a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Chuck. Any blocking concerns?
I can't. I'm not agreeing right now.
So this is Garrett. I'm wondering if anyone knows a little bit more background about what's going on. I mean, the allegations in that little summary for the letter sound pretty important as something we want to stand up against and in support of workers for. But I'm just wondering a little bit more context about exactly what's going on here. And yeah, I don't know. Does anybody know any more information, basically?
This is Mel. I have more information, but I agree with that. I mean, people can put out a letter. I haven't heard much else, but we're just assuming that this is correct, that the people are the bearers of the truth, and that there is no other side to it. I'm not going to block it. I will not block it, but I'm uncomfortable. I'm just letting you know that.
I also second that opinion. I didn't get a chance to read this. I didn't see in the Slack. But for those who have, how sure are you that this, do we know this is, credible? I just want to be certain going forward with this, that, that what is said in this letter is true.
This is Beth. I read the letter because I came across it online, not in the Slack, but it's the same letter. When I first read the letter, I was very skeptical. I'm not sure I would have, I wasn't ready to make a motion for it, but since then, I've gotten more information online and found that pretty much literally everyone except for the person they're complaining about, has signed this letter. And when an organization is that unanimous, that does tell me that's unusual if it doesn't have any basis. And that was one of the things that made me think, okay, there may well be something to this. It seems that it's not like 10 people in the office got together and did this. It's like everybody did it.
I guess I would say I also have some hesitation, just to some extent. I'm not sure that it is sort of a Green Party matter one way or the other. And it also feels like, well, if there is such consensus that this person is so problematic, then ostensibly that there should be avenues to solve that problem that exist. Like, she is employed by a board of directors. If the board of directors has lost faith in her, then she will be removed from her position in the natural course of things. But people outside the matter weighing in because they are suspicious, that feels to me that feels like not a great precedent to set, I guess.
I would have to agree with that. I mean, I just scanned over it briefly, what was just now posted to the Zoom, and there is some pretty extreme accusations there that if they're true, then certainly the board should remove her. But I agree with you. I think it's a matter for the board of directors, not so much for us.
I guess the way I look at it is that it's like supporting workers in a labor dispute. It's connected to, I think it's connected to their efforts to unionize that workplace. And this is just kind of like, concerted worker action. At least it's like the person that I heard about it from is one of the workers there. And that's definitely the perspective that I'm hearing. So yeah, some of my thoughts on that.
To that point, Jay.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, well, you can go.
I guess I just specifically to that point, I mean, I hear you, and I think that has some relevance and sort of resonance for Green Party values. I would be inclined in that case to maybe say something like the Green Party stands in solidarity with workers seeking to unionize without taking a position on one particular individual's employment status. Like, I'm not, yeah, I just, the idea that we're sort of wading in with like an advocacy position on something that is not really our matter, and for which there are other course, like a system exists. That's sort of where my hesitation is. But I hear you on the labor side of it, and I think we could say something about that if we feel like that's a dimension of it.
Yeah, I agree with Elaine on that. Has anyone checked this letter out? Like, is there an area where we can comment it as opposed to just simply sign?
Can I just say something real quick? I agree with the idea that we probably shouldn't necessarily get involved in one person's employment status, but I think that we might as well like say something akin to, we believe that like this matter will be worked out internally and that there are systems in place, right? To like kind of give a wink and a nod to it without officially taking a stance.
Well, I mean, you can make a statement that that's an advocacy for workers' rights without having to single out the specific individual in the complaint, which is kind of a separate thing.
I'm going to start doing the stack. People are already gotten on in the chat. So first we're going to go Garrett.
Yeah, I think Elaine mostly covered my comment. I agree with her. It seemed, actually Riley echoed that too. It seems like there'd be a way to maybe call attention to it and say, we're aware of a labor dispute here, and we support the workers' demands, and call on the board of directors to act accordingly, without necessarily wading into the whether or not it's true or whatever, because none of us have direct knowledge of that, you know. And Jay, this is sort of a question for you, Jay, but did someone just kind of see this letter being passed around, or were we specifically asked to sign on at some point?
I saw the letter passed around, and I like both in social media, but it was like by someone who's like my friend from like a private account. But also it's discussed in DSA because DSA is voting on whether to endorse a letter or not also. So I've also seen it through there. Okay, Kelly, you're next.
I'm gonna mostly agree with the sentiments that are being expressed about wanting to stay out of it. Although I did just look at the list of supporters, and it includes a lot of organizations that we do align with typically, which is a good sign for it. So I won't be like upset if we end up voting for it, and I'm not gonna block it, but I would agree that I don't see what this does for us or for them with us signing on to it. It's good to say that you stand in solidarity with workers. I think that the best action for us to take would honestly just be sharing this letter with our party. I think that's appropriate. Like, we can, you know, encourage people to share it and look into the situation and support workers, but we don't have to officially sign on as an organization saying like, hey, this person needs to be fired. That's all.
Matt, you're next.
I agree with Garrett's idea. I'm hesitant to vote in support of signing it just because I don't know anything about this, and I just can't in good conscience sign on to something that I don't know if it's credible or not. I would support, and this would probably be a different measure, I don't know if it could be an amendment or whatever, but making a public statement of some sort that just says, you know, we stand for democracy in the workplace. If a large section of the workforce at Planned Parenthood has lost confidence in this person, then, you know, they should be able to remove them. That's just my thought on it.
Okay, Mel or Emily, or Emily.
Yeah, so I guess it's at this point, it almost becomes process, because it seems to me there's an awful lot of us here who are hesitant to block, but have really made it kind of clear we're opposed to issuing Green Party support for the statement. I'm not even sure that we were asked as a Green Party to do it by the people put it out. As for the second part about endorsing or giving support to those who are organizing, that's an entirely separate issue. I would certainly agree with that, but it's almost, while politically is relevant to the motion before us right now, it would be an entirely separate motion that we would do. It wouldn't be like an amendment to this or anything. This has to be voted either up or down, one of the two. And I think that's probably our next step, unless there's others on stack. Thank you.
David.
Hey, first of all, Mel just touched on something where I was going to ask here is, have we as a party, state or local, been asked to sign on to this letter?
No, it was just a general ask for organizational sign-ons, and I'm putting it forward I'm submitting it to the party for our organization to sign on.
So Planned Parenthood of Pennsylvania is part of their strategy is to try to get organizations to get other people to sign on, and those organizations can get other people to sign on instead of asking everybody directly. You know what I mean? It's a campaign.
Organizations have been asked directly. I'm not sure if it's a organizational strategy or if it's just like people who are in an organization that are part of this campaign have asked their organization. Like, the only reason I know is because I know DSA was asked, but also one of the members of DSA is like one of the people involved in this. So I'm not sure if it was like a, you know, we were excluded intentionally, you know, or what.
Right. I doubt that. I'm just thinking, you know, we have to consider whether we're asked or not to do something. If we're not asked, then maybe we shouldn't do it. But the other question is, what's the problem for Planned Parenthood in terms of us not signing on or whatever. I mean, are they thinking they're going to be in serious trouble if they don't get sufficient support against one former executive director? I don't quite get the picture.
Okay, I'm next. I see people are raising their hand in participants, but I'm going to withdraw my motion.
Did you answer that, Jay, or no? Maybe you don't know.
Sorry, what was the last question?
The last question is, I got the impression from what was put out earlier that Planned Parenthood sort of is saying, please help us, save us. We're being threatened or whatever. Are they really in some trouble?
It's a group of employees at Planned Parenthood. And I think, yeah, the trouble is like related to COVID and also racial discrimination or insensitivity. That's kind of like the trouble. It's like a hostile work environment for multiple reasons. But yeah, I want to withdraw my motion. I mean, it seems like I could push it through if I wanted to, but seems like that's not the feeling of the crowd. So I'm going to withdraw it.
All right. So withdrawn. Do we need any connections? Billy and Elaine, can we coordinate in the Slack on doing a press release and getting that info?
Yeah, if Jay, if you're withdrawing the motion, there's the second part that was discussed in this, which would be a statement from the Green Party endorsing the employees' complaints and asking for an action from the Planned Parenthood board regarding the employee complaints. Do we want to pursue that as a separate issue?
I'm not making that motion.
A lot of us discussed it. I guess
Yeah, I
like
heard
that
something
motion.
slightly different. I heard that we wanted to say that we supported the workers, we support unionization, and we support worker empowerment. I didn't hear something quite as specific as what you're saying. It doesn't make it bad, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
That's
No, I get it. Yeah.
Kelly, you got on Stack before I withdrew. Did you still want to go?
I just wanted to say that, yes, I do want to go. I am glad that David brought up the point of whether we were asked or not, because I think that's important. If we were asked to sign on to this, then I would say we need to take a vote on it and decide whether we're going to do it or not, because not signing on to it means we kind of disagree with this, right? We weren't specifically asked to sign on to it. So to me, the safe route is to not sign on to it. And I don't know, it's different whether we were asked or not. That definitely makes the situation different. I did see in the chat that there was some discussion about why is worker solidarity controversial? We would be the only ones who haven't signed on to it. And yeah, I see that point, but I don't know if the situation turns out to be not in good faith, or I don't know, something bad. We don't want to look bad, and I wouldn't want to risk that. I don't know. I don't think it's super important for us to do, but it's also not important enough for us to not do that I care about blocking it. So that's where I'm at. I am willing to make a different motion if we don't want to officially sign on to it, but I'm going to let other people discuss it before I do that. Go ahead.
All right, I think Elaine is next.
I'll be very brief, but I think it's a very fair point to sort of ask, why are we being cowardly about this or something like this? I just want to emphasize the lens that I view this through as the principles of Green Partiness, right? Individuals can have opinions about this. Please go have opinions about it. Thinking and speaking as a Green Party, I think one of our really core values is sort of peace and de-escalation. And so to me, it's a bit of a maybe there is a way to approach this problem that does not involve seeking to sort of escalate the tension, and us jumping into the fray, whether the right answer is to fire this woman or not, us jumping into the fray feels to me like an escalation, and us saying, you know what, there are channels for this and the people that are involved can sort of sort that out themselves, to me feels like it's consistent with a principle of nonviolence and a principle of sort of peaceful resolution of problems. So just my 2 cents.
I'm next on stack. I will say that I think it would be a bad look for us to put out a statement in support and not to sign on. You know, that's kind of, I feel that's weird. That's my feeling. Like, I would rather we do nothing if we're not going to sign on, rather than like be really obvious about we know it and we chose not to sign on. Oh, also, like, this is all public, right? So this discussion is really public. So just like consider that when you consider how this makes us look, blah, 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 you know, that's all. All right, Garrett, you're next.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I agree with what Elaine said there. Pushing toward diplomacy or whatever as much as possible. I wanted to add that I looked at the endorsement form here, and the endorsement form includes a box that says something like, what's the reason that you're supporting us? And so, you know, I would suggest as a compromise between all of the positions that we've discussed so far, that we sign on to support the workers, and we include in that box a specific statement saying something to the effect of what Elaine said, that we support the workers and we support dialogue between the workers and the board of directors to resolve this situation. You know, we're not necessarily making any judgments because none of us are directly involved in this, but we are concerned about what we hear, and we do support the workers, you know, if they're coming together and asking for something. And maybe that's a good way to handle it.
Mel, I see you raising your hand.
I don't know why we're still discussing this. The motion has been withdrawn. I do not know if there's any official organizing going on there. We do not know if anyone's had asked us to endorse a labor organizing drive that's going on at Planned Parenthood. We hear that maybe they might be organizing there. I'm not sure why we're still discussing this. It should be over, folks. I mean, we can discuss in general whether or not we support labor organizing, but of course we know that. So why would we check a box on a form where we've already decided to withdraw the motion to endorse the form? I don't get it. We need to move on. The discussion should be over at this point. We can carry on our general discussion, but it shouldn't be about this. We have not been asked in any way to endorse organizing there. We weren't even asked to do this. And now the motion has been withdrawn, which under parliamentary procedure does not prevent Jay or anybody else from bringing it up again when we have more information. It'd be different if we defeated it, but we did not defeat it. It was withdrawn. Thank you.
All right, so last call for any new motions.
Just a direct reply. I'm asking the organization to sign on. Jay. No one asked me to ask. They did call for organization to sign on in general, but I'm asking the Green Party to sign on. So we were asked by someone, and it was me.
Okay, last call for a second motion or other motion before we move on. All right, sounds good. All right, new format feedback. What are your thoughts on the General Assembly format? We have a survey here, and Garrett, I'm guessing you're going to plop that in the chat. Oh, thank you, Billy. And do we want to take a minute, have everybody fill this out now, or do we save this for later?
No, I just have it. I'm going to take it out next time around. The format's been around for a while, but not many people have told me whether or not they like it or not. So it seems like people like it overall. Just looking for feedback.
All right, sounds good. Go ahead and check that in the Slack. And now for member announcements. Anybody have any proposals?
I guess I would just like to request that we have a meeting soon about Pittsburgh Unity Front and like what specifically it looks like. I'm doing my best to get the ball rolling on it. Like I've reached out to Socialist Alternative and PSL. I've been talking with some of their members. I talked to Leandra Mira today of Fridays for Future. She said that they need more information about it, but the problem is I don't have much more information about it right now because we as a group have not really talked about what the specifics of it look like yet. So I guess for the people that don't know about this already, I'm trying to form a big tank coalition of all the different minor leftist parties and leftist organizations in Pittsburgh to basically coordinate all of our actions and pool our time and our money and our resources and hopefully run candidates together. I'm hoping that if we can really get the ball rolling on this, we can run somebody against Peduto as like a united leftist front that really like just to make a stand and say to the Democratic Party that like they can't ignore us anymore. I'm not really sure what else I have to say about this right now. I guess I'm requesting that we have a meeting about it to discuss it more specifically.
Is that something that should be housed in Greenwave, do you think? Or we just chock full of stuff in Greenwave and we should just have a completely separate thing?
Greenwave is about running candidates as Greens. And I don't know that that's necessarily the initiative that Riley is going for right now with this, but I do love this idea. I think that if possible, we should have a meeting about it, but I don't know that it belongs in any of our committees.
Okay, that was just a thought.
But
but yeah, Riley, I fully support this, and if you get a meeting organized, I'm definitely down to join it and help you out with this if you need help.
Yes, please. I do need help.
Should there be sorry, I didn't stack. But should there be like a Slack channel? Do you have a Slack channel for this? Or is that something that we should do?
I would like to have a Slack channel for this, maybe even outside of the Green Party of Allegheny County Slack, just because ideally there will be people from many, many organizations involved in this, and I don't want it to seem to the other organizations that like we're trying to take them over. Right? I want this to be a coalition, and I think that that's part of like the Green Party's value of decentralized democracy, right? Like I envision this as sort of like, I don't know, I don't want to say like a new party that's a combination of all these different groups, but like a decentralized organization that operates democratically with each of these groups having representation on like a steering committee or whatever for it, if that makes any sense. And again, like I don't, none of that is set in stone. Like we can talk about it more at a dedicated meeting, but that's just how I envision it right now.
I think that we should definitely have a meeting about it. Let's use, okay, I like Jay's idea. Sorry, I didn't stack, but only Jay was on the stack and I'm gonna interrupt him. I'm sorry. No, go ahead, Jay. Go ahead, Jay. I'll go second.
I was just gonna, okay, so I guess my concern is about capacity. I'm also concerned that we're gonna be able to get everyone together, working together on something that's so intricate, that's so complicated. You know, like I think we have good coalition efforts, but nothing with this amount of stress or strain. But in pros, like we've seen it in Baltimore, we've seen it with Lisa Middleman. If the progressive primary doesn't work, then suddenly everyone's energy, like I think there's like the phases of our electoral cycle where like everyone's working on primarying people, and then suddenly there's a general. Usually nothing's happening. No, there's no Republicans running. So like Lisa Middleman was able to absorb a lot of that primary energy in a general election. So that's not impossible. It just seems really daunting. And my style is definitely like slow and steady versus like the big giant project. So that scares me. Over.
Yeah, I mean, like I understand that concern definitely. I feel like something big and drastic like this is right for this particular moment, just because of like how vulnerable Peduto is and how much energy there is around all these issues that we support. And like, I think this is a very good chance to really like assert ourselves, not necessarily just being the Green Party, but like all leftists in Pittsburgh, and really like assert ourselves, and that the Democratic Party cannot ignore our demands. Like, we're not just some fringe group that is going to be, you know, like bleeding like sheep, easily ignored. Like, to show that like we're a threat to their power if they do not give in to our demands, right? And I think that it's harder to make a statement like that slow and steady is just the problem that I have.
Kelly, you're up.
Yes. I think the sooner we get this going, the better. I think there are a lot of people in Pittsburgh who are already on board with doing something like this. And there are some people who have ideas about it, some people who don't. Anyway, I think that we should use Greenwave for now, make a thread about it. Anyone, pin the thread in the channel so that anyone who goes to Greenwave can go to that post. And anyone who's interested in joining and like doing this thing should comment on it, and we can figure out how to get all those people together in some way. And I can help you do that, Riley. We can get all those people together in some way and have a meeting, hopefully this month, if not in January. Over.
All right, awesome.
No one else is on stack, so I guess I should talk real quick about the kind of thing that we have been kicking around in our Greenwave meetings. Like, we haven't decided on any course of action as a party, right? There hasn't been a vote, and we're going to do that in January. Like, this is exactly what we're doing, what our goals are, what we're aiming for. But one consideration, like, this is the kind of thing we were weighing between, like, do we want to run a mayoral campaign, or do we want to run lots of borough council races and like, you know, school board races, kind of like smaller races. And we're having trouble figuring out if we could do both, if we had the capacity to do both. And then there's also talk of a Pittsburgh City Council race that we could possibly work on. So that's a lot of races, a lot of campaign managers, a lot of volunteers, a lot of fundraising. And like, I just think about what we could end up left with, you know, like, obviously the goal for an independent mayoral campaign is not the same as a goal for like a school board race in Woodland Hills and Edgewood. But, you know, if we come out with nothing, that would be really bad. So we need to be concrete about what our goals are. And I don't know, like, I mean, we've been pushing, like, the Green Party always pushes aggressive things. What the Green Party is not known for is winning. And I think that's the kind of thing we need to redefine for people, is that, you know, we want to push the envelope, but we also want to win and take power so we can push the envelope that way too. Like, kind of two different kinds of campaigns. And I think we haven't answered that question. A lot of people still have that question. And, you know, other electoral organizations are like creeping up, moving for People's Party, saying like, hey, we can win. And if we don't prove we can win, we're going to be left behind eventually, I think.
I guess what I would say about that is like, that's kind of the idea of like this idea that I have, is I want, like, we obviously do not have the time or the resources or the people to do all of those things you just mentioned. But I think that if we coordinate with all the other, with PSL and Socialist Alternative and Socialist Workers Party and all these other groups, and get assistance from groups that aren't necessarily political parties, but like groups like Sunrise and groups like Fridays for Future and groups like Black Young and Educated, right, that have political influence, like, not all of these candidates that we run have to be Greens necessarily. We can have one party like focus on the mayoral race. We can have another party focus on the borough council and the school board races, right? Like, that's what I'm hoping to accomplish here, is that like we can function as like semi-autonomous chapters of one party almost, if that makes sense, without making it like an official centralized thing. Does that make any sense? I feel like I'm kind of just rambling here. But like, yeah, so I guess like the point that I would have, the point of doing this to me is to make it so that we don't need to choose between running a big race like a mayoral race or running a bunch of smaller, more winnable races. The point of doing this is that, like, if we all stand together and pool our time and our money and our resources, is that we can do all of those things. And maybe not all the candidates will necessarily be Greens, but they will be like independents and PSL and socialist alternative candidates and, you know, just minor party socialist candidates. Like, that to me is more important than just the Green brand. And I would, of course, I would advocate for people to run as Greens, because I think that the Green Party is the biggest and most organized of all those parties, has the most momentum. But I'm not going to discourage people from of those other minor parties from running. And if they do run, I would advocate that we support them. Does that make sense?
I do have a question. Do you know if any of these leftist organizations are like legally political parties? Like, would they be able to appear on ballot, or are we the only ones?
I mean, in Pennsylvania, you can run as anything basically. You can put, like, you know, the Matt Nemeth party, Matt Nemeth party. You know, it's easy.
The birthday
Easy.
party.
So you could do a fusion.
The Dream's not dead.
So you could do an electoral fusion candidate, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, it could just be like socialists, or it could be like Left Unity Party or some. That would probably be dumb, but, you know, you could name it whatever you want.
Because there are candidates that run with multiple parties under their name on the ballot.
No.
No? Not in Pennsylvania?
You're talking about fusion voting?
Yeah. Is that
No,
not a
that's
PA thing?
That's not a PA thing. That's in.
Okay, I saw that in New York. Maybe I
But
guess
you
they
can
don't
name
think
your
you-
party the Green Socialist Alternative Party.
Okay.
It's just like a political body. You can name it anything. Movement for People's Party could run candidates as Movement for People's Party right now if they wanted to.
But I would point out that for school board races, you can do that. And I think actually it would be a good idea for us to meet with those other organizations and say, hey, let's get a bunch of school board candidates that are running as Greens and a Socialist Alternative and as PSL and the Socialist Workers Party, right? Like, just, I don't know.
Only thing I was going to say was about ballot access. So the only like technicality in this is that our ballot access comes from how many people vote for the person who's on the ballot as a Green Party person. So if we were to run someone under this made up party name, that wouldn't count toward our ballot access. But I personally don't care about that at all, because our statewide candidates got that for us this year and will get it for us in 2022. 22? Yeah, 22. So that's the only technicality. And having ballot access really just means we automatically get a ballot line in special elections. I'm not sure if that matters to us. That's all. Over.
I don't think it's any secret that there's a whole lot of folks talking behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, in the scenes about independent mayoralty candidates. And they range everything from those solidly on the left and would never part from socialism to those who play with the Democratic Party all the time and would, at the drop of a hat, bail out on us if it meant the chance of getting one of their people in as a Democrat. That's the way they've functioned for a long time. That does not mean they're bad people, but it's no secret that a lot of people are thinking about that. There's gonna be a whole lot of shaky out. There's gonna be a whole lot of guilt tripping if you don't line up behind some candidate who's really just kind of a maybe progressive Democrat, something like that. So there's gonna be a lot of shaking out going on, is all I'm saying. Thank you.
Well, I think that that's another strength of like all these groups forming together, is it becomes much harder to guilt trip people by saying like, oh, your candidate can't win, you have to settle. I mean, they're going to do that regardless, but it becomes much harder for them to actually convince people of that if there is like this, oh, there's this other candidate or these other candidates that are endorsed by all of these organizations at once that are like not affiliated with the Democratic Party, but there's a lot of people in them when you put them all together.
Last thing is that it's candidate dependent also. That's going to make or break selling the coalition. If you have a strong candidate, people are going to be much more interested. No one else is on stack. 7:50. I think we should just, like meet later again to talk about this, in a more prolonged way. And I don't know if there's anything on the agenda, but we got to take a picture before we go.
Yeah, that was it for the agenda as far as I know.
Cool. Let's take a picture now. Who wants to take the picture?
I can do that. Everybody comfortable with a countdown? Anybody need to fix their hair or anything?
Well, let's see.
Anybody want to get their dogs in the picture?
I think I'm doing okay.
Yeah, camera's
Not
on.
so bad.
I turn this thing on.
This is Claire. I'm so sorry I couldn't get there earlier. Oh, boy.
No worries, Claire.
It's all recorded, including this part.
Oh, okay.
All right, everybody ready? Camera's on. Get the dog or the cat. Oh, I see a cat. All right, ready? Go on 3, 2, 1. Cool. There it is.
And it's not even our cat.
Did you just find it?
No, it's the neighbor's cat who spends about half his life in our house.
Wow, you kidnapped someone's cat.
Yeah,
All of these conversations are going on all the time on Slack. All of these conversations we've been having on Slack, like all the time. So if you want to participate in these conversations, you get like a snippet of them on the Facebook group, but Slack is where the conversations are happening. So, if you really want to get into the weeds, we can do it there. It's not blowing up anyone's inboxes. We can go back and forth on every detail of everything we talked about tonight. So highly recommended.
Whose cat is who and whose cat belongs to who? You mean that?
I don't know. Sorry, David.
I think I have Slack access. I'll have to check it out again. I don't know.
I've talked through a lot of people on the phone, so I can do that. I'm in a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Great. I guess.
Wait, goodbye.
Who's second? I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, that was me, Kelly.
Kelly, okay, sorry.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, cool.
Thanks, Connor, for facilitating.